This episode is not sponsored, but we encourage you to help support the small businesses, charities, and organisations that we mention. Hi everyone, and welcome back to Our Circle. I'm Jess.
And I'm Rhiannon.
And today we're talking about whether we think that males and females can be just friends. I feel like we have maybe slightly different views on this. I'm not actually sure because we haven't gone into it before this episode. We sort of very briefly said, like, right, what are we going to talk about? But we haven't gone into it. And one of the things we've said already is, right, I understand, but I don't agree. So I'm looking forward to getting into it. So, right, Rhi.
Yeah.
What would you say is your proportion of male friends to female friends?
Oh, that's a good question. I've never actually thought of it. Do you know what? I would say it's probably 60 female and 40 male.
Wow. See, I think that's quite high.
Okay.
Like, as in comparing to my own.
Right, okay.
My percentage of, like male friends is probably, very low. Like, honestly, 80-20, if not 90-10.
Really?
Yeah, I would say like close friends. I mean, I have friends now, or people that I would consider friends now through Joe, for example.
Yeah, right.
And I would consider them friends, and that probably bumps up the numbers, but they're probably not people that I would like confide in like something really personal. Like, they wouldn't be my first port of call, if you know what I mean. Whereas I feel like you've got male friends who you like chat to regularly, and you might, I don't know, talk about more personal things maybe.
Yeah, I do. And I don't know if this is like I feel like I'm turning into you here. I don't know if this is like a psychological sort of thing here, whatever you want to call it. Wait, is that the word? What word?
Yeah, like, are you coming up with a psychological analyzation?
Yes. So I do think that this is because I've grown up with being the only girl in my family. Like, as in growing up in the UK. I've got female cousins in New Zealand, but obviously I wasn't around them often.
Yeah.
I grew up with my brother and my two cousins who are like a year. Well, no, sorry, not even a year. I think the difference between me and Scott's something like 6 months, and my older cousin is about 2.5 years older than me. So we all grew up, like, four of us pretty much together all the time. And then my first sort of friends were guys when I was at primary school.
Yeah.
And I'm still friends with them today. So I kind of wonder if because I was around men or like boys, I found it easier and just it seemed normal and natural to make friends with guys. Probably because I came at it from oh, you're like my brother sort of thing. You're like family kind of thing. It wasn't necessarily seeing them in
they're not alien.
Way. Yeah, no, not at all. Whereas I think I wasn't nervous of making friends with girls, but maybe it wasn't like my first natural sort of go-to because I wasn't ever around girls other than a couple of like family friends and stuff. But even family friends as well, they were guys. Like, I was pretty much one of the only girls for a while at least. Like,
that's so interesting.
What's it called? Like the what's the years called? Like, it's not, is it informative years? I can't remember what it's called. Like the really early ones from like, say, like 0 to 5. Those early years, it was mostly boys,
right,
playing and growing up with. So
so mine was complete opposite. Like, my whole family, pretty much. I've got one male cousin in Ukraine, but other than that, all my cousins and all of us are female in our family. So maybe, that's such a good point. Like, it's what you're familiar with, what you're maybe more comfortable with, because it's the norm of what you've been surrounded with. Maybe that's made a difference to the number of guys that we're friends with or have been friends with. I would say when I was at school, though, I found that I wasn't that uncomfortable around guys, especially if I didn't see them in a romantic sense.
Yeah,
if I saw them in a romantic sense, then hell yeah, like, I was like blushing all the time and whatever. But I still have friends now who I'd consider close friends who are males who I went to school with.
right.
but I struggle with like, and I can't think of a scenario now where I would, other than being at work, but I said to you before we started recording, like everyone at work is female in my workplace.
Mm.
I can't see myself now being in a situation where I'd make friends with a guy, and I don't know why that is. I don't think it's impossible or really that strange for an adult female to be friends with a male, but I think there's, maybe it's a societal thing, but I think there's always something in the back of your head that might, or maybe it's literally just an instinctive thing. You know, when you walk down the street, I think you'd be lying if you said that you don't occasionally look, or maybe not even occasionally, literally like you look at people and you think, am I attracted to you? Like
Oh, hell yeah.
subconsciously,
Yeah.
you
And
look at every single
most of the time I'm
person.
like, nope, nope.
Yeah. And I don't think you always realize you're doing it, but it's just something that you do,
Yeah.
and it's almost like this, yeah, I don't
Like
know.
I guess that's a natural kind of point of view, isn't it? As in,
Yeah.
your natural instincts, like, do you feel attracted? And obviously it's not a thing that you're acting on, it's just an observation, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, that's an
Yeah.
attractive person to me. That is not an attractive person to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
I also wonder as well, like, if my examples, like the examples that I was given, influence that as well, because my mum's like, some of her best friends are guys,
I
so
see. Yeah.
that was sort of like the example set for me by my mother. But then when I think about my dad, well, this is the thing, I think of my parents' friends as their friends. I don't think of them as individual friends. Like my dad's
Yeah.
male friend, my dad's female friend, I just think of them as my parents' friends. So I guess just to me,
Yeah.
there wasn't like a boys are friends with boys and girls are friends with girls. It's just like, you're friends with everyone. So I think that was the example that was set to me. And then having all male cousins and and relatives around me, maybe that's what sort of influenced or encouraged that sort of ease for me, maybe.
Yeah. Because when Joe and I started dating, like he had, and I guess he still is friends with them, but we'll get onto that in a minute. He had female friends, and I think the kind of, you know, the early stages of dating is kind of like all unknown. You're still figuring out like the other person's life and kind of where you're going to fit into that.
Yeah.
My first instinct was kind of sussing them out. I have to admit that. Like I was literally just like, oh, I wonder like if there's a history there, or like, you know, just kind of, okay. And then once you realize it's just a kind of platonic friendship relationship, you're like, cool, I can relax. But what I've noticed, and I don't know if it's literally just because there are so many factors, obviously we've got pandemic, we've got child, there's been fewer opportunities to sort of catch up with people in the
Right.
past few years,
Yeah.
that Joe sort of maybe drifted apart slightly from them. And I found the same with some of my male friends as well. But again, I don't know if that's situational or whether that's because we're in a relationship. Like I find it weird. Like I've got friends who are males who have got into relationships, and since they got into relationships, we speak less, and like we don't,
Yeah,
and I don't know what that is.
pisses me off.
Right.
I feel like I'm going to get into this in a sec, but I just want to answer your question from the start of, do I think men and women can be friends? Yes, I do think
Right.
men and women can be friends. However, do I think that all women and all men can be friends? No, I do
No.
not,
Mm-hmm.
because of so many factors, and it's mostly individual factors as well as situational, meaning people who are, I don't mean to like call people out, but people who are secure with themselves, basically.
Yeah.
Because I think if you're not, or you're not secure in your relationship, that really affects your friendships. It just does. Like if you're not, if you don't have that trust, maybe, or again, maybe you haven't had those examples given to you before, like of
Right.
platonic friendship, so you think that that's strange, or you think it's wrong, whatever, however you've been brought up, whatever examples you've seen, that all plays into it, and also your past experiences and stuff. So
and
I
also
feel
your
like,
partners, because I
yes,
feel like they're, you know, someone might be drifting apart from you because they are trying to make their partner feel more secure, which
yeah,
I don't really understand, because I feel like it would have the opposite effect, because it's almost like, again, psychology coming into it. It's almost like you're feeding into that insecurity, because
right,
that person now is like, right, oh, there was a reason that they switched off that relationship with that person, because, maybe it was a bit strange and it was a bit too close, and that's why they had to stop that relationship, because they didn't, now they're with me. Like, I feel like if you just continue as normal, there's no reason why. Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
I think when you go into a relationship, you have to be strong enough in yourself to be like, right, these people have known each other for years. If something was going to happen, surely it would have happened. And it
exactly.
hasn't.
And I also think I think that we overall we get that that men and women should be able to be friends. However, and you should just feel secure in your relationship. You should be open. You should have communication. All these things. However, there is not a lot of perfect relationships out there. There are
No.
those different imbalances and toxic traits, or whatever you want to call them, that they exist. So I understand that not everyone is going to be able to see eye to eye on the can men and women be friends. When it comes to relationships, this is what really annoys me. And I think it's unfair on your friends who have been your friends first to ditch them because you have a partner who doesn't like that you have female friends, or doesn't like that you have.
Right.
I'm all for making your partner feel comfortable, but I think there are ways to do that don't mean alienating yourself from your friendships or cutting off friendships or whatever. It doesn't make sense to me. I think if I had a partner who was uncomfortable with the fact that I had male friends, first of all, you've got to get grip, like grow up. But I would want to know, I'd be like, okay, why? What's the problem? Like, what is it that you're concerned about? Let's talk about it. Let's, put this to rest, because I don't want there to be, because my friends aren't going for you. Like, you can go. Like, that just doesn't make sense to me, if
exposure, like the more they get to know your friends, the more you integrate your partner into your life, hopefully that would
absolutely.
settle
And
whatever their
as much
qualms
as
are.
and as much as I've said in previous episodes how my family have molded who I am, as have my friends. So if you're finding that there's a problem with my friends, please realize that you are the problem, because there hasn't been a problem since, or before you. Makes sense.
I love that.
You know what I mean? So there wasn't a problem until you came. So it's definitely with you. So therefore, let's work this out. Like you said, exposure. Let's meet the friends, because there is no problem here. Like, I'm not ruining my friendships for someone who's insecure over it. Like, let's work on that together and communicate.
Yeah.
So then, coming from the friend point of view, because that's what I am to everyone, I get very frustrated when that isn't happening. So when I've got friends who are deciding to I loosely use the word ditch because they're still in my life, but it's just in a different way, because they're trying to make their partner feel comfortable or happy. And I'm just like, you could have completely squashed this by just introducing me to them or whatever, or I don't know, just having a better open communication and conversation, because I don't understand the reason for this, like the changing why should our friendship change because you've decided to get into a relationship? That's not on me. So you know what I mean? The dynamics change because of you. This isn't on me, and that's unfair. And I feel that for anyone, because I think this happens for a lot. I think this happens to guys who have female friends, and the females get into relationships and the boyfriends get jealous or threatened or whatever, and that's just and vice versa. And I don't really get it, but that's just because I think, to me, I can be friends with guys, I can be friends with girls, I can be friends with whoever, and it doesn't affect who I am as a friend, or who I am in a relationship. Although I do have to backtrack a little bit. I do think I've been guilty of it when I was a teenager, but I'm a bloody grown woman now, so I don't think I would be the same way. You learn.
What do you mean you were guilty of? As in when you were in a relationship?
Yeah, I think when I think my teen relationship, you and I barely spoke during that time.
Yeah.
And it was not just just a you thing.
No, I didn't take it personally, don't worry.
Yeah, so many people didn't know what was going on with me. And then when it all imploded, I think it was a bit of a shock to some people. So but that's all I mean. I would never do that again. Well, at least I hope I wouldn't.
Because I feel like with new relationships, there's always it's always like a grace period that you allow your friends to be caught up in this kind of love bubble, and almost like expect them to have all their spare time kind of spent with their new partner. But like, do you ever feel like there's a sort of cut-off point and you're like, right, enough of this, like, come on.
Yeah, for
Let's resume
sure.
our friendship.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the thing is, I'm all for anyone finding love. I'm all for anyone giving that love to their significant other and spending it however,
Mm,
but I think don't fucking cut off your friends who've been there for you since day one. I
mm.
just think
And I'm probably going to be there when this one
when
doesn't
this
work
goes
out.
wrong, yeah. But not even that, like, don't you want your friends to help support you in your relationship? Okay, you want that
Yeah.
support, you want that soundboard, you've got to maintain those friendships, you've got to maintain those um you know you've got to maintain that sort of unit. And I think it really does get abandoned. And I think I don't really like how, at least from what I'm guessing society sort of portrays, is that's the norm. Like, oh, you grow apart from your friends because you end up getting into relationships. Like, I'm sorry, why? Like, those friends have actually been
Mm,
really good friends to me. They've given me really good advice. They've been there for me when I've been really, really sad or really happy. They've been there for the highs and the lows. Why should they have to then
mm.
disappear? Because
Why do you have to pass them on to someone
yeah,
else?
it
Like,
makes no sense. And I
yeah.
completely appreciate that when you're in a relationship that's really ideally meant to be like your best friend, it's meant to be the person that you do now have that support
Mm,
system with, and like that your other friends have almost been training you for. But at the same time, those friends don't just suddenly disappear because you've got into a relationship. So yeah,
mm,
I do have a, as you can tell, I have an issue with that, because it doesn't
mm,
feel nice. It doesn't feel nice. I think maybe it also is highlighted more for me because I am single. I'm not in a relationship. So
mm.
when someone basically is discarding my friendship, that hurts.
Yeah.
I don't have that distraction of someone to then be like, wow,
No,
and
but that would hurt regardless. Like, I would
yeah,
hope. Like, if you
yeah.
care enough about your friendships, that would hurt.
Mm,
But also, I was just thinking back to when you were saying that you grew up with predominantly males around you,
mm,
whereas versus me with females around me. I felt like actually I really valued my male friendships that were just friendships and had no romantic, wasn't going anywhere romantically, because I really had no clue about guys. So actually, when I did find someone that I was romantically wanting to get involved with, those those male figures like in my life were actually really useful to talk
yeah,
to and get advice
yeah,
from. Like, because I just, it was so alien to me, the male species, still is a bit, but just having them sort of say, oh no, that's normal, or actually, do you know what, if he wants to make effort, he will. Just
yeah.
hearing things
No, you're
like
so
that, I
right.
was like, right, okay, cool. This I really value. And even to this day, like, if I was really baffled by male behavior, I'd probably go to you, because you'd be like, yeah, my dad and brother are like that. Or I would also, I would speak to my male friends that,
Yeah,
I'd be like, God, like, is this something, yeah, is this normal? Because like I would have no idea. I
yeah.
think it is good to get these like perspectives
Yeah, definitely.
from,
Because and also it goes the other way as well. Like, a lot of men really appreciate if they haven't got sisters,
yeah,
female friendships, because for the exact same reason, trying to understand things.
yeah.
For learning partnership of anything, or friendship, isn't it? So we've just said, like, when you've had friendships before and then you get into a relationship, what
Mhm.
about being in a relationship and making friends? Is that strange or unlikely to you?
I want to. I'm very open to it, but it's just really weird. Think again, it could honestly be pandemic affected, this
Yeah,
answer, because
yeah,
I've not actually had an opportunity since having Mila and everything to kind of merge different worlds together, because I've not really had many different worlds
yeah.
to merge together with Joe.
Yeah, it's mostly been
Um,
opportunity based at the moment for you, isn't it?
yeah, and I just, it would really have to be quite a strong new friendship to say, right, let's go out. Like, why don't you come round for dinner, or like, let's go out for a meal, like a drink or something like that. I can't envisage it right now, but I
Yeah,
reckon in the future, maybe when I have a different job, or I'm in a different kind of environment
yeah,
or new space, or I make a work, sorry, a mum friend, for example, I imagine maybe when Mila goes to school, I can see Joe and I making parent friends.
Right.
I
Yeah.
think we've not had the exposure yet,
Yeah.
and we're yet to do it. But I would find it really interesting to see how it plays out, because
Mm.
it's not like, for us, it's not easy to make plans.
Right. Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
feel like it would actually take a lot of effort. We'd be, I don't want to use this word as if like it's a lot of effort, but it's like sacrificing our own personal time. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like
Yeah. Of
it would be a
course.
big deal for us.
Yeah.
Like
To
whenever I say post pandemic because we're not actually post pandemic, but as things eased up and we were allowed to have people round, Joe and I, we would sit in the living room and like you can see the window, you can see like who's coming.
yeah.
We'd sit there and we'd sort of nervously, like, we'd be a bit early, like we've already got ready and we got all dressed up and I put my makeup on, and we'll sit there and we'll like be making like small talk and sort of both of us like glancing out to the window. Like we get really excited about any social event because we just do it so like it's not frequent at all for us. So yeah, I'm really excited to see how it pans out, and I really hope that we make sort of like parent friends where we can like go out for, I don't know, go out and have some fun
Yeah.
together,
Yeah. Definitely.
like
As
another
family,
couple
friends,
like
and
that.
as couples. Yeah.
Yeah, and like Joe used to work with some friends that I've now become friends with, and their girlfriends, for example, and that's fun because the boys like to talk about football and we like to talk about girl things and we get along. But
Mm.
I also still get along with the guys as well, and I really enjoy that. I enjoy being able to still be part of those conversations as well. I say still, like that sounds a bit weird. Like obviously I'm still human. I'm like I'm an adult. Like I can have these conversations as well, but it isn't. I don't feel like it's completely like segregated. Like, oh, you go off with the
Yeah.
ladies, and
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
How do you think you'd feel if Joe said, "I'm going to go out Thursday night because I'm going to dinner with Hillary." I don't know who Hillary is. What would you
That's
think?
the point. I don't know who Hillary is. If it's the first time he's mentioning her, I'm going to be like, what? Who the fuck is Hillary?
Who the fuck is Hillary?
um, if no, if he's been talking about someone at work,
Yeah.
and I don't know, they're going out for a work do. I mean, I'd probably find it a little bit strange just because Joe's never done it before, so I'd probably
Yeah.
be like,
Like, this is new.
right, okay. If I've met Hillary, yeah, I'll probably be all right with it.
Right.
But I can't see that happening.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
I
What
just
about
don't.
how do you think he would be if you said, "Oh, I'm going to go out for dinner with
Well,
Daniel"?
I've got a friend Tommy who I went out with for dinner
Right, but
with
I'm
like
saying a friend that's new, like not one that already
oh,
exists, like a new friend because you're in a relationship already. So you've made a new friend. He happens to be a male, and you're going to go out to dinner or you're going to go bowling. I don't know. You're going for a friend date, and you tell Joe.
yeah, he'd find that weird. I know
Would
he
you?
would. Yeah, yeah, I know that he would have wanted to know more about him before.
Right.
He wouldn't stop me.
Mm.
Like he wouldn't be like, no, you're not allowed to go.
Right.
But
Yeah.
he would be a bit like, right, who is Jake? Like, tell me more about him. Like, where's he cropped up from?
See, I think that's fine, isn't it? Because I think maybe that's then I don't know if that's the right word. I was going to say the rule or something, but like in the relationship, it's like, okay, so the courteous thing to do is to actually just give some information beforehand and then
Yeah.
go, sort of thing, as
Yeah,
opposed
and
to
also,
when you just go and do it.
I also feel like it's less suspicious if you're being so transparent about it as
Yeah,
well.
true,
Like,
exactly. Yeah,
yeah, I'm
I
going
feel
out with
like that
Jake.
about everything. I
Yeah,
feel like that about everything when people are like, "Oh, that's a bit funny." I'm like, "Well, it doesn't have to be. Just tell the truth." Like,
yeah,
I
exactly.
really don't get some things. Like, I mean, this is going off into a bit of a tangent here, but it's like the debate about should you be allowed to go through someone's phone. I'm always like, yeah,
Mm,
because I'm fine with, I've got nothing to hide. So,
right.
but I understand a lot of other people like, no, I want my privacy. But I'm like, well, I mean, what, what's what do you need to hide, sort of
Mm,
thing. I think that's
mm,
me just being quite. I'm always quite transparent with stuff, so it
yeah,
makes me feel a bit uncomfortable when people have got their guard up. However, I have to respect that because that's their boundary. So
right.
I think that's something that comes into it. But
That is a whole other
yes,
conversation, the phone
definitely.
thing.
um, but the other thing I was going to say is I also think we're not naive in some friendships do have more to it, as in, you know,
Okay.
you can end up catching feelings for friends,
Mm.
like whatever your sexual preference is, whether it's you catch feelings for your girlfriends or your boyfriends, sort of thing. Like it happens. Not for everyone, and I'm not trying to put this into people's heads who are already like, you know, I've almost tried to help them come to the other side and realize, you know, yeah, you can be friends, like it's fine. And then they're like, wait, no, now
And now
she's
they're
saying
like,
that
I
you catch
knew
feelings.
it.
Like it does, it happens. Like I think, you know, I think a lot of the time, the people that you make friends with, it's you gravitate towards what you want, don't you? So like
Right.
I've gravitated towards the friendships and that I have because they're what I want, they're what I need. And I guess that can also kind of cross over with some, can't it? I mean, I'm guilty of having experiences like that, and I know that I'm not the only one. Like I know that plenty of people, and a lot of people end up going into relationships because of having such good friends, you know, like so you can be friends with
Yeah.
the opposite sex. I think you can. I just don't think everyone, sorry, will, or I don't think that everyone can.
Yeah, and I think a good way to kind of summarize it as well is that I think we said this in maybe our first episode of this season. If you want to enter a friendship and you have an ulterior motive,
Yeah,
just be transparent with
yeah.
it. Just don't create a friendship and then get hurt. Like you're essentially hurting yourself because that person is going to be really thrown off if you're suddenly like, actually my motive is to be in a relationship with you, because they're going to be like, well, what? Like,
Yeah, not only will
where's
you
this
like
come
lose
from?
that as an ever option, you will lose the friend too.
Yeah, you're just you're literally just losing, so
Don't be a loser.
don't do that. Right, okay, well, let us know if you've had some sort of sticky situations yourself with
Yeah,
I don't know, crossing over your relationships with your friendships. We'd be really interested to hear your stories about them.
yeah. Do you believe
Um,
that we can be friends or not?
yes, just let us know your conclusion and your reasons, because I think it's really a really interesting debate.
Yeah, me too.
So this week's dedication is linking to Mental Health Awareness Week and Awareness Month. And this year's theme is loneliness, which is quite apt, seeing as in this episode we've talked about friendships and maintaining those friendships. So Ree, tell us more about our dedication.
Yeah, so the dedication for today is Calm, CALM, not the app, but the non-profit organization. They're all about campaigning against living miserably and being united against suicide, which is something that's quite dear to my heart and many people's. They have their own hotline as well, or a helpline, I should say, and a web chat that you can access. You can find all of their details on the screen, and you can find them on Instagram at Calm Zone. So go and check them out. Check out the details in our description as always, and we'll be promoting them on our story as well.
Thank you all so much for listening. Make sure to like and subscribe and to share this episode. You can listen to it on Spotify, Apple, Amazon, YouTube, RSS, everywhere.
Yeah,
Make sure
everywhere.
to stream. See you in our next episode. Bye.
Bye.